Hello, welcome back. Hope everybody's doing well. All right, today, pattern. Pattern's a fun one. It's all around us. It's everywhere. Patterns are everywhere. I'll go through it in greater detail. As I said before, last week, make sure you're registered. You can use this little easy checklist to help you out if you need it. I know sometimes looking at those like computer, the self-service and the student area, what do I need and what do I take? Like this kind of nails it down in what would be our best order to take care of things. I have these in number order, but like make sure you clear out first semester before jumping in the second. And if you jump in the second, make sure like you take the layout and publishing, which is the InDesign program, kind of earlier, sooner than later. And then we start getting into prereqs. So you guys should, research and concepting is good. Take that as soon as you can, and layout and publishing, and then do packaging and advertising. These two are harder than these two. This one is the software. So you get the software out of the way. This is about how to become more creative. And then once you know those, then you jump into advertising and packaging. And then portfolio pathway, that's the last 8 weeks, and it's a 1 credit course. Pretty easy. The only reason these are, I don't know why they're in this order actually now, because the numbers mean nothing. Just so you know, when you see these numbers on the side, they mean nothing about the order in which the classes are held. They just have to assign numbers, and it's a really weird system. But once a number is assigned, it can't be reassigned. And then so if you add a new class, they just add a new number and put it in there. And so if we change the class, like this typography class came later, like I don't know why the numbers are what they are. So don't ever think like I have to take them in number order. Look at this, and then I should probably redo this. I'll probably redo it this year. So take a look at that. And always, please ask me questions. Send me an email. Hey, I talked to my advisor, but before I fully sign up, what should I sign up for? Let me know. I'll talk you through it. I'm around in the summer. I just want to let everybody know that too. Like if you have questions in the summer, just send me an email. You might have to wait like a day. Like if you send me at noon and I'm out or, doing yard work and I get to it late, like whatever, but I will get back to you. I promise you, I'll get back to you. So yeah, we have your pattern research, which you'll know. I'll go over the pattern project. I'll go over the computer rough draft for your InDesign project, and then that'll be it. So let's jump on in. Do I have two of those open? Why did that double up? Oh, I do. Let's get rid of that one. All right, let's talk about pattern. Here we are. Let's zoom on in. All right, pattern. It's pretty easy. Like this one's easy. I think we all know what a pattern is, but like how to use it in design, and is it used all the time? Maybe not, but is it great to use? Yes, it is. It's a pattern is the repeating, a repeat. I got squares all lined up. It's a pattern. Anything can become a pattern. It doesn't have to be much of something. And also a pattern can be thought of as a bigger idea of like a page layout from if you're creating a book or a catalog, that you have a consistent design pattern, meaning when I go from one page to another page, everything is set in the same area. So don't just think of pattern as like, oh, when I look at my couch or the curtains or the floor and it's just like a bunch of dots and like that's a pattern. No, it goes beyond that. We're trying to use pattern in a way not just to help the viewer or entertain the viewer. I'll say entertain the viewer, but it can also be there to help identify things. It can help move the page along. It can help people understand like when I'm reading this is how I read it. There's so many things that can work with the pattern. And like I said, a pattern can be anything. You put some stones in the ground and take a picture of it in a pattern, So it can really, really be anything. Repetition is the same thing. So it's pattern and repetition. We might use those as interchangeable. So I might not say, like, if we're designing several page catalog, I might not say like, I want each page to be a pattern of the next one. I'll say repetition. Like, we want people to understand when I go from one page to the next, we want that repeating pattern. And so that is just like interchangeable words, sort of, with repetition and pattern. And repetition, just like anything, why do you repeat something? Because you want somebody to remember it. There's the age-old psychological inference that you have to do something 10 times to remember it. So we repeat something 10 times, you work on something 10 times, and it'll sink in your brain and it'll stay there. So think of it also like that. If I repeat something, maybe it'll get to them. And can I repeat in a really cool way, in a consistent way? The other one is that favorite word of mine, anomaly, where if we have, just a bunch of squares, pretend these are perfect squares. You know what I mean? And the anomaly, it's a pattern of squares, but then I have this anomaly and it stands out. And then so we can make that, use that as part of the design practice and be like, I've got this really cool pattern and I'm going to change one little part of it and make that stand out. And that's how I'm going to signify the importance of a piece. Reasons to use pattern and repetition in design are key aspects is visual unity. Again, it helps people understand when they go from one piece to another piece to another piece to another piece, that they understand, like, oh, this is all done for, visual unity, or I'd almost call it brand unity, that like I know when I'm looking at one piece and then the next week I see something by the same company and it matches, but maybe it's different product. Where did I have that? Okay, I don't have that here. It comes up. I have a Target ad that'll come up that kind of talks a little bit about that. But it's a unity, that repetition of seeing the same design for the same company that we recognize every time we see it. Oh, you know what the famous one is? This is so weird in graphic design. I'm going to draw a shape and I'm going to change the color, and maybe that'll even help too. It's this little curve, little up. And if I do this and this, I think that's the shape. And then if this is red, I might have gotten the shape wrong. But repetition, oh, maybe there's is there a little dip here? Oh, it's a really bad drawing. It's supposed to be like the McDonald's fry box, without even putting the yellow M in there. Like, we know that shape of the box so well that if you just see that shape, you're like, oh, I know that shape of the box. And McDonald's uses that. It's the iconic fry box shape. And they use it in their advertisements. And they use it as like flat arc and crazy stuff because there's a visual unity of it. We know what that box looks like. So it's kind of weird. Hierarchy. Repetition can be used to establish hierarchy among the elements. So if you like more frequent, less frequent, we signify the area within the pattern to help draw the eye and be like, this is the important part in this hierarchy of things. Oh, I hate looking at that McDonald's box. All right. Texture and depth, pattern adds, like, it can add so much. Like, it can be a lot of fun to create and make, and it adds visual interest. There are new ways in the new programs to really create patterns as well. And I'm not just talking about, like, we always just think like, static pattern like we're going to do here. Let me pull it up. I don't know, why is this dogging on me? Keep getting yelled at about. I'm looking up somebody. Hopefully I can show you a piece of theirs. Shop. Oh, give me 1 second. Come on. It's not. Okay, find one. But you can create pattern. So when we talk about texture, depth, and like whatever, but you can create pattern like even with like illustrations and like a repeating craziness of like, I guess like showing this, if you can see that background, I will show you like this page. If you look in the background here, all these, you like here, like it's a repeating pattern. So these two angry clouds are actually here. It's a repeat. And it's just, there's the LOL, there's the LOL, angry guy. And it's a repeat of like fun illustrations. And that can be a pattern as well. So patterns like can be everywhere. And it adds a lot of like, you know, that texture and depth and something else. I talked about the brand identity with it when I drew that McDonald's thing, and that's how we use that. Emphasis is almost the same as the hierarchy of like we can emphasize a certain part of a design by changing that pattern, making that anomaly, my favorite word in the world, anomaly. And then the other one is, this is a really strong one too. And we use this all the time. And this is a stereotype that I'm going to have, like I'll say, but if I were to say, oh, we want to make a design, I want you to design something, and I want it to be like Jamaican style. Everybody does the same thing for Jamaican styles. They pick, it's yellow, black, and red, like their colors of their flag. Immediately, everybody goes to that because it's a cultural significant pattern in that society. And we use that all the time. There was 11 years ago, I had the opportunity to go to India and travel India with my wife. And we went to some places, and their buildings, like their historic buildings, are carved patterns. And I like just took photos of the patterns, repeating patterns everywhere. Everyone was different, and they're all hand carved out of stone, but it was a cultural thing there. Like that's what they did. That's how they, you know, showed opulence, is like these ornate carvings everywhere. It was crazy. It was awesome. But it's huge in cultural stuff. So let's get to looking at some images. This pattern one is fairly quick because, you know, patterns are patterns. I think this is great. And what I'm going to say, this is the funny part. I'll say this as I've said before. People are designing this. No computers. All right. They didn't have computers when they came up with this. This is all hand done. Somebody's like copying and pasting, like by hand, make a star, move it over. And they came up with this idea it's a section of 3 stars: red, white, blue, gap, red, white, blue, gap, red, white, blue, gap, red. And then they just repeat it: red, white, blue, gap, red. And they figured out if they did this in a certain way, and then they took these overlaps and then they colored them in a certain way, that it created the 3 bigger stars. The white one's very hard to see because it's on a neutral background, but the red and the blue stand out. And it's a pattern in a pattern, making another pattern on one single piece. And I think it's pretty amazing. I think it plays off, like, I don't know if this is a bad JPEG or if there's like visual things happening. You can see some things going on underneath, but it's very cool. I think this is a great way to do some stuff. And it's a great way to look at when you do your compositions for me for the project, is take a shape and play with it, like move it and then move it again and then move it again and move it again and see what happens. See where those patterns come from. Sometimes it'll surprise you. a lot of the times it's not always, it's like happy accidents. Like, oh, I moved this and I saw, and then I saw, and then it's like, oh my gosh. And I could use that. There was a pattern within that pattern and I want that shape and I want to emphasize that. And it's really cool. There's things you can do. I'll say maybe that's a really great place where using the computer first off can do some amazing things, because you can just, take a star and then repeat it and then repeat it and not have to kind of do it by hand by drawing it, 3 times and figuring it out. So I love that. I love that piece. Nice and old. I'm always showing the old pieces. I don't know why. Update this. This. It's a single shape. I don't know what it's for. It's old. But it is based off of this logo. So the logo has that little drop shape and it's used one way. But then they created this, which is so great. And it's just the one shape shown in like different ways. And so, what do we start with? The heart, and then you kind of like follow it around, and it's so directional and so much fun. And where's the anomaly? Right here. They could have made it the same shape, but they made it anomaly. Same shape, just twisted and turned, same shape. I love that, like kind of like you follow along. Everything is kind of flowy to here. And then you have this like boxed in group, it feels like here, where there's a little bit more information. And it is a pattern. It's a repeating set of icons, shapes, whatever. But again, they took this one shape and just started like, okay, what if I overlap it on itself? What if I flip it? What if I flop it? What if I turn it? What if I do this, that, the other thing? And you get amazing things to happen. Like they just didn't stop at like the pill shape. Here's the pill shape and here's the pill shape. But they just didn't stop there and just have it repeat, 9 pills. They're like, oh, wait, you can get this to flow and be cool. And like, here's a great little star that shows up in the middle. Like that's almost anomaly too, right there. Just great things that can happen with some patterns and playing around. I think you'll have fun with the project today. Wallpaper. This goes back to that significance and of cultural significance a little bit, and look around your world, your life. Look at the floor. When you're out and about, look for those patterns. I always do. I'm not like obsessed, but like if you're waiting at the airport, you're waiting at the doctor's office, you're waiting in some room, I look at the floor and I'm like, okay, it's tile floor, maybe tiles, maybe rug. Okay, is it tile pattern? Carpet. Where's the repeat? Can I find the one? Because it's not infinite. None of these patterns are ever infinite. It's a repeating pattern for a reason. It repeats. There is there's darn near no way to make a Jackson Pollock floor would be like a non-repeating pattern. But I'm always like staring at the floor, like not in a bad way, but I'm like, okay, where's the pattern? Okay, I see what they did here, and then they moved it. It's just like really cool to see that stuff. Look at your couch. What's the pattern on your couch? Do you have drapes? Are they plain drapes or are they pattern drapes? Look at, chairs in the office, chairs in anywhere. Patterns are everywhere. The other reason, here's a funny one. The other reason we use patterns is it hides. It hides imperfections. If you have a running pattern, so the texture on your walls, there's that little texture, sand in the walls. It gets smoothed out over like millions of years of painting over it, but there's still a texture in your wall. That texture distracts the eyes from this imperfections left in the wall when the wall was created. It's a very weird thing. Patterns hide imperfections within the piece that they're on. So you could have like, if you have a floor and there's like maybe a wave in the floor or a bump in the floor, if you had a perfectly shiny floor, you would see that. But if you put down a patterned carpet, it hides it. So pattern can actually hide as well. Talking about that The repeating pattern. This is a catalog. So here's page 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It is the same layout for all the artists, where I'm saying these are artists, whoever it may be. But what did they change? Just the color hit. But for the most part, it's exactly the same. Project picture, artist picture, same project picture. Project picture, artist picture. You know, like, and so when I go from page to page, when I flip those pages, I know what I'm going to see next. And it's a comfort for me to read through this and not be like, oh, because then I can jump around and I know where everything is, rather than the page forcing me around and me being like, oh, where's the info on the artist? And it's like over here on this page, but over here on this page, and up here on this page. Like, no, they're all really well laid out that when I go from page to page, I know exactly what's happening. And it makes it far more comfortable to use and read. And then we go to a website like this. And the underlying part of this website is comfort in viewing. It's all rectangles. Like, it's just squared rectangles. Here it is. Here's this part is separated by this part. Here, it's very easy to understand. Nothing's hidden. And then, like, when we go to the get in touch, the fill out part, very similar to what I've been looking at here. So there's a comfort. There's a comfort in, like, it didn't change. Like, I'm not like, okay, it went to rounded pill shapes here for the fill out, but everything else was squares. Like, oh, no, why did it change? If you don't give it significance, you know, that change up, if you keep it similar, people are more comfortable. When you change it, then they have to look at it longer to be like, what changed and why? And how do I deal with that? So if you keep that design very similar on the web page, they feel very comfortable moving through that web page, that everything is, you know, rectangle, 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 rectangle. There's no circles thrown in to be like, why am I looking at a circle all of a sudden? Why am I looking at rounded edges all of a sudden? You don't have to think about that. The brain is turned off for that part, and we just continue through. It's easy, like, oh, okay, this looks like the other stuff. I just fill in my name. It's not like rounded. It's not a different color. It's nothing weird. So we're comfortable with that. That's why this works so well. We're just comfortable. I turn the page. Oh, the only thing that changes is the little blue. Anything that changes, it's yellow. And that's like the significant change, but it's all in the same spot. So in this way, the color change is a happy. Oh, it's not the same person, but everything's still in the same spot. All that changes was the color. I'm not thrown off. I'm not too thrown off. I can keep moving with this. So pattern, pretty great when it comes to design. Any questions about pattern? All right, cool. Let's move on. Pattern research. We're back to InDesign. You know what to do by now. Just follow these. Create it. Get used to it. You know, use InDesign. It's just about using it. Remember, you know, no stretching, no everything. You guys are doing great. You're doing wonderful. So yeah, no worries there. Yes. Project. I'll open it up in a second. So create 6 compositions, color, shape, and typography to define pattern and design. So you're making just a bunch of patterns. One pattern, color is going to be the defining part of the pattern. One set, shape is going to be defining, you know, what shape is it. And one, you're going to use typography to create pattern. This is where you know, like have a play around, have a little fun, try some things out. I think it downloaded it. There you go. Oh, this is wrong. Let's double check that. Let me fix that before anyone does it. Well, let's fix that right now. Take me 1 second. It's always good to find these little mistakes. And then I just hit File, Save. I'm gonna close it. Oh, I have to fix it right after class. Oh no, I can log out. Exit, discard. Now you get to see it how I see it. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. It's been fixed. There you go. All right. So yeah, have some fun with that. Good thing I checked that out. Then finally, let's talk about the computer rough draft for your InDesign project. Now, for the Illustrator poster projects, I've seen some excellent work, some great rough drafts that will just move right into the final piece. And I want you to do the exact same thing for InDesign, okay? Nothing changes. So I'm going to open up. I should have the file. And we go to your files, 103, layout, file, save as, and then I'm just going to save it to, and then this is just for me, so I don't oversave. Now, I have my setup, and it's the same way you work in layers, right? So you have all this stuff already built for yourself over here. And what you can do is you add in a new layer. And I'm just gonna call, you know, it's the draft. Let's call it draft. And you know how to place images. So I'm gonna go to File, Place, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find my drawings. And I'm on my computer, and I'm gonna go to Downloads. Oh no, Screenshots. And it is this one. I have two, front and back, and I'm just gonna plonk it in, and I'm gonna do the same thing we've done the whole time. So I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna get as close to the size as possible. I'm just gonna use that free transform tool, and I'm gonna make sure I hold down Shift. And it's not gonna be perfect, it's a drawing. And then like even seeing this, like, oh, I wanna make sure I bring it in to the margins, like it's a little tight. So just to help me out, right? Do the same thing with this one. I'm gonna get on that. Boom. So now I have my starting point. So now I can just go through and like be like, boom, find the photo of him. Got the photo goes right there. Type out his name. I can take some time with the name and get it laid out. I got my images. I got image goes here, image goes here, image goes here, here, and here. Boom, boom, boom. You set it up and you knock it out. And it's much easier this way than going back and forth, like, or like looking at something else. Why not just throw in the piece? So then it comes to this. Then you go to File, Place. And within a short amount of time, you will be at this point with your design. You know, it's all placed in, you added color, and you did it correctly. Mind the margins, make sure you know nothing goes past the margins, no important information goes past the margins. And you just kind of populate it. You populate it like you would in Illustrator, and just take your time. But you should have all the parts and pieces. That's why you did that research earlier. And now it's just like, oh, okay, I'm just going to start slapping them in there and get them in where I need them and get them placed and play around and try some colors, you know, like do some cool work. So, yeah. Is there any questions? This is a quick class. Eh? Is there any questions on the assignments this week?
No, I'm okay at the moment.
All right. Well, cool. Well, again, you always know how to get a hold of me. Just send me notes, messages, discussions, call me, text me, whatever it may be. You know how to get a hold of me. Winding up. So just so maybe everybody understands a little bit more, we don't have finals. We don't have a finals week. We're just going to continue with the last 2 classes. And then the course ends on that following Sunday. That's the last day of the class. So the variety will be the last class, which is next week, Thursday. And then you have Friday, Saturday until the end of the day, Sunday, to finish things up. It's all a repeat. You guys know what's going on. This opens up early, and it's basically you'll just be finishing project B. So you do your research, your variety. You're going to have plenty of time to finish things out. Everybody always does. Yes, I work until like the last class isn't just like, oh, there's a quiz. Like, no, we'll get through. There's enough to get through. I don't add anything. I don't make it harder. It's just the same continuous process. And generally, if you're for the final of the pamphlet and the final of the poster, if your rough draft is really, if your computer rough draft is really good, I'll write back with like 3 comments and be like, move this, push this over there and do this. And then you're done. So I don't like, don't worry about getting like this huge, like 4-page critique on the poster design. I'm going to be like, oh no, it's looking great. What if you do this? What if you try this? What if you try this? And then move on and get it done. So I try to make those changes like as clear and concise as possible to just have you be like, oh, okay. And then also one of them, if you use the project review, we can bounce back and forth a couple times and really like refine it if you want. So that's a great place to do that. I love refining the work. Like it's easier than like overloading you with 100 things to change. If you just do like, first do these 3, send it back, do another 3, send it back, and you'll see how your piece will improve with just those changes. So feel free to use those as well. Yeah, we're down to it, down to the nitty gritty. 2 classes left. Thank you all very much. And you know how to get a hold of me. I'm happy to help. And if I don't talk to you on the discussion boards, I'll talk to you next week, Tuesday. All right. Take care, all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
You too.